Above all, we have infections and disease. Infection is the invasion of disease-causing microorganisms into the body. Disease is the disturbance of the normal state of the body. It is a disordered state of an organ or organism. Infections normal relate to diseases. So the following are the difference between infections and disease. An infection is the presence of replication of harmful microorganisms within the body which may not lead to the development of a disease.
Disease encompasses a wide range of health conditions, those resulting from infection but extending to non-infectious causes as well. Infection are just one of the many potential. Above all, diseases can cause the following negative effects: weakness and inability to work or study, increased cost of health care, stress to the sick person and the family, permanent damage to the body, and can cause death. Now let us see the classification of diseases. Number 1, infectious or communicable diseases, and number 2 is non-infectious or non-communicable diseases. By starting with infectious or communicable diseases, these are diseases which can be transmitted from one person to another person. Communicable diseases are normally caused by microorganisms. Examples of infectious disease include malaria, typhoid, tuberculosis, cholera, gonorrhea, syphilis, Ebola, AIDS, and so on. So, many of the infectious diseases are transmitted by starting with direct contact. These diseases are spread by direct physical contact between an infected person and susceptible individual. For instance, shaking hands, hugging, or sexual contact. Some sexually transmitted infections are transmitted through direct contacts. In direct contact, infections can be spread directly through the contact with contaminated objects or surfaces. For example, touching a doorknob or surface that has been contaminated with infectious agents and then touching your face can transmit diseases like the common cold or flu. Again, we have airborne transmission. Airborne transmission, these are certain diseases are transmitted through thin respiratory droplets that can remain suspended in the air for a period. This includes illnesses like tuberculosis, COVID-19, and influenza. Coughing, sneezing, and talking can release these infectious droplets into the environment. Vector-borne transmission. In some cases, diseases are transmitted through vectors such as insects or other organisms. For instance, malaria is transmitted by the Anopheles mosquito, and Lyme disease is transmitted by ticks. Again, we have foodborne and waterborne transmission. Contaminated or food or water can transmit disease when ingested. Common pathogens include bacteria. For instance, we have salmonella and parasites. Proper food handling and water sanitation are essential for prevention. Again, we have droplet transmission. Disease can also be transmitted through large respiratory droplets that do not remain suspended in the air for long. And this includes diseases like the flu and COVID-19, and typically requires closer contact than airborne transmission. Again, we have sexual transmission. Sexually transmitted infections are spread through sexual contact. This includes infections like chlamydia, gonorrhea, and human papillomavirus. Also, we have mother-to-child transmission. Some infectious disease can be transmitted from an infected mother to her children during pregnancy, childbirth, or breastfeeding. And this is seen with conditions like HIV and syphilis. Another thing, we have blood-borne transmission. Some disease can be transmitted through contact with infected blood. This can occur through needle stick injuries, so blood transfusions, or sharing of needles among intravenous drug users. Now let us see the infectious disease. By starting with A, epidemic disease, a disease that affects a large number of people in a short period of time in a region. For example, cholera, meningitis, bubonic plague, Rift Valley fever, and tuberculosis. Also, we have B, pandemic disease, a communicable disease which is widespread over a country, continent, or the whole world, for example, HIV/AIDS, and etc. Again, we have C, endemic disease, a communicable disease which occurs in an area continuously, for example, bilharzia, sexually transmitted disease, malaria, and etc. So, an endemic disease in tropical regions, and cholera endemic in Asia. So now let us move to non-infectious or non-communicable disease. These are diseases which cannot be transmitted from one person to another. For examples of non-communicable disease include the following. And here we have the environmental diseases. Number 1, lung cancer. Number 2, asbestosis. Number 3, asthma. Number 4, coronary or heart diseases. And number 5, we have alcoholism.